And I think we are live. Hi guys, welcome to episode 38 of live Q&A slash talk security dog handler. As ever, just going to be here for a period of time, for as long as it seems. Why is it fly? For as long as it seems viable to do so. And yeah, going to do a little Q&A slash talk. So if you're here and you've got any questions, then this is the time that you can ask. Other than that, I'll have a quick chat about sort of maybe my week or the last few weeks, etc. Interesting week this week is that I was going to do a video about this week, but to be honest with you, it probably wouldn't be the best video. So I thought, well, I'll do a live. I've got an extra night off, so I thought I'll do a live talk through this week. Some interesting things have happened, but a lot of you guys know that my site obviously finished last week, and then I was moving on to a new site this week. But what's kind of happened is this week's kind of like a stopgap before going on to a new site next week that's going to be for sort of 3 or 4 weeks long. And it's a bit of a change up. It's going to be 16-hour shifts, which is absolutely going to kill me. So yeah, I thought it'd just be interesting just to maybe talk about what I've done this week, etc., rather than do a video about it, because it was going to be quite similar. But also, obviously, gives you a chance, if you've got any questions about security dog handling, to go down into the chat box and ask your questions, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. If not, there may be people that are in and out of this live at some point that that will be able to answer them. So yeah, hope you've been having a good week. I know that this Thursday is a bit of a random time to do a live for me, but like I say, I've got an extra night off this week because I'm off to go and watch the Women's British Open tomorrow. So I didn't want to work tonight and then go straight to there afterwards. So yeah, this week I was working on a new site. Like I say, it was just a stopgap for a week before next week starts, and it was quite an interesting site in terms of I had full facilities. I had full use of a building that was there, but I decided that it was better for me to stay in my van and continue using the Bluetti. It would have been quite easy to use an extension lead. It would have been quite easy to use an extension lead, use the kitchen facilities and all that kind of stuff. But to be honest with you, I've become quite comfortable with just living out of my van, having sandwiches and different things like that, especially on 12-hour shifts. I think if you're maybe there for longer than 12-hour shifts, then possibly sandwich and a meal is possibly going to be the way forward. I'll kind of maybe work that out next week, how I want to do it, etc. 16-hour shift. Welcome to the world. Oh, why has that got a heart on it? Go away. Why is that? Oh, that is going to do my head in. What's that say? Oh, I don't know what that's. 16-hour shift. Welcome to the world of something real dog handling. I'm guessing that's going to say. So yeah, it's going to be 16 hours. You guys probably know I was doing 15-hour shifts a little while ago. This is 16-hour. It's going to be tough. I think it's going to be tough because I've got to travel there and back. So I'm probably going to be out of the house for about 17 and a half hours. By the time I've sorted the dogs out when I get back, that's sort of 18 hours. Need to leave myself an hour to get ready and get out the door. That's 19 hours. So 5 hours maximum sleep probably. Going to have to work out what I'm going to do with the dogs, because at the moment I let the dogs run free, to my detriment sometimes, because Ollie can get up to a bit of no good every now and then and chew through something or rip something up, i.e. my passport, or there was something else, that an AirPod. He'd done my AirPod not that long ago. So I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do with the dogs, because what the general consensus of the dogs is at the moment is that we get home, me and Coop get home from work, or me, Coop and Ollie get home from work, and as we walk through the door, I feed the dogs, and then they decide they want to have a fight for 45 minutes to an hour. And it's all play fighting, but they decide they want to have a bit of a play fight for 45 minutes to an hour normally, which is fine when I'm doing 12-hour shifts. But when I'm doing 16-hour shifts and I need to get some sleep, because like I say, it's going to be probably a maximum of 5 hours, is that I need to get home, get some sleep, and the dog's not to be fighting, play fighting, all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do with the dogs next week. I might have to crate Ollie whilst I sleep. Whilst he's here with the missus, he'll be running free and all that sort of stuff. So I think what I'm going to have to end up doing is probably crating Ollie for the 5 hours that I'm asleep, just so that I can make sure I do get my sleep, and then let him out for the hour whilst I'm getting ready to go to work, and then obviously me and Cooper go off. So it's going to be interesting. I feel like it's going to be quite hard work. Get some sleep at work. So yeah, I feel like it's going to be quite difficult in terms of. But the thing is with the 16 hours, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because I feel like I'm going to be getting there an hour before everyone starts packing up, which I can kind of understand. Maybe make sure that you're there, but getting there getting there like an hour before probably everyone's going to leave. But I'm going to be leaving about 2 hours after I would expect people to start turning up from work. So I'm not sure what their plan is with that, because if people are turning up there and they're starting working and there's someone on site that is responsible, I don't feel like I probably need to be there as late as they're planning on me being there. So we'll see how that works out. With one of my other sites, I was on the books until 7:30 because they wanted to make sure that I was there for the last person to turn up. But most days I got let go at 6:15, 6:30. So we'll see how it does pan out. But to my mind, I'm probably going to be there for like 2 hours whilst everyone's there working. So we'll see how it pans out. But I've got a feeling that the 16-hour shift is a little bit of an overkill, but we'll see how it works out. You'll be living in the van. Yeah, basically that I will be doing that. So like I say, for 16 hours, I'll be in the van. I'll literally just be coming home to sleep. This site coming up would probably be more beneficial to someone that has sleeping facilities in their van, that they could just park up, maybe even stay there, or drive around the corner and find somewhere just to park up and get some sleep there before going back. Where I enjoy going to work and then coming back home, it's kind of to my detriment on this next site, because like I say, I'm only going to have about 6 hours at home, which when you include trying to sort the dogs out and all that sort of stuff is going to be to my detriment, that I enjoy coming home and not living out of a van. But we'll see. Danny Rolfe, how you doing, mate? How are you? So yeah, talking about the site I've just done, I turned up there on the Sunday night. Was it Sunday night? Turned up there Sunday night. Pretty simple site, but with a couple of different kinks in it. We shared an entrance with a boxing gym. So although I had sort of my boundaries, I obviously had to keep my eye out for obviously general public that were walking around, obviously sharing an entrance. So the entrance that went out onto the main road, public footpaths that was quite close to where I was. I actually had someone bark back at my dog, which I found quite funny. And then also last night, someone that was walking past. Now, I would say that probably in a 12-hour shift, I reckon 60 people would walk up and down that footpath whilst I was working, and probably 56 of them people Cooper would ignore. And then last night, someone was walking. I don't know whether they looked through the fencing. I don't know whether they poked their head through the fencing of the gate, etc. But Cooper barked, and as he barked, I sort of just got out of the van, because it was in quite a residential area as well. I just wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to be too loud or be annoying to anyone. So I got out to make sure that obviously no one was climbing the fence or trying to break through the gate, etc. And then once obviously I realised that that's not happening, I'll ask Coop, I'll say, right, that's enough. You've done what you needed to do. We're all okay. But for people that have not met Coop or have not seen Coop, when he's in the van and he's in his crate and he does his sort of case detection, he's very loud. He can take you by surprise if you're not expecting it, and he can be very loud, and he can rock the van as well as banging his head on the top of the crate. So it is quite loud, and it is quite, I would say, quite threatening. And then last night, someone must have either looked at him or whatever it was, made eye contact with him, and he went off. And as he went off, I got out of the van to hear a bloke and his wife having a Barney the other side of the fence or bush about Cooper making the geezer jump. So I think what happened was he made eye contact with Coop. Coop went off, made the bloke jump. And to kind of save face, he was going, that's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely no need for that, he was going. But I think what he was basically doing, he was trying to save face to his wife because the dog obviously made him jump and she probably took the piss. And he's going, oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely no need for that, he was going. But yeah, like I say, out of 60 people, I would say that Coop probably ignores about 56 of them. So it obviously must be someone people make every now and then. Someone makes eye contact with him, or they stop and they look. And as they look in, Cooper decides, no, you're not looking at us, and obviously alerts me, etc. So yeah, with that guy kicking off and complaining that the dog made him jump, but having a go at his wife, starting a domestic, and the guy that barked back to my dog was quite interesting as well. But yeah, like a couple of decent night shifts, etc. An interesting one with the guy that took over from me is that walked him round. Now, I would say that if I understand the site, I mean, I've only done one shift there, and I'd say within 10 minutes, I understood what the job was. I understood what the perimeters were. I understood where maybe the weaknesses to the site was, or what I needed to make sure to look out for, etc. Now, I would also say that I'm a pretty good communicator. I would say that if you come onto the site and I walked you around, I would say that I'm pretty good at communicating that to the point where you would understand what you're doing once I finish explaining it to you. And no fault to the other handler, quite new to the job, etc. And I walked him round, told him everything that he needed to know, told him some of the weaknesses, where to look out for, maybe some of the stuff that might happen. Now, I hadn't done a day shift there, but one of the guy that I took over from explained to me about obviously the dual entry that's going to be there, but also the kind of people that may turn up during the day. And I kind of explained that all to him, probably 10, 15 minutes, walked him round, spoke about everything, etc. And then when I got back to the van, I said, right, you all good? And he said, okay, what's the job role for this site? And I just had to tell him I had no idea what he was asking me. Because I literally just explained everything that I needed to know. Now, like I say, he was quite new to the job. So that was an interesting one. But like I say, I'll come back took over from him on the night shift, and he said everything was fine. I think I nearly punched a client through shock. So there was a guy that had turned up there, and he was doing some work. He was doing some work in there, and then when I turned up, I just poked my head in just to make sure I knew who was there and make sure that was the bloke whose vehicle it was. And I said, oh, okay, well, I'm going to be out in the van, etc. When you're ready to go and all that. And so I went back out, took the dog for a walk around the back, done a patrol, different things like that, and then was back in the van for, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes. And therefore, I need to go to the toilet, and then I'm going to get the dog out. So I've gone back into the building and to go use the toilets. And literally, as I'm walking through a doorway, he's walked round the corner, straight up in front of my face. And I think I flinched, but I kind of flinched to go and push him before I realised, hold on, that's a client. So that was, I don't think I would have punched him, but I definitely flinched to push him away because literally we went to walk through the same door at the same time, but only he was coming from the side, from behind the wall, and I nearly cacked myself, to be honest, because although I knew he was there, I wasn't expecting him to walk around the corner, and yeah, so I nearly pushed, stroked, punched maybe a client, but thankfully managed to realise what I was doing before doing that, because I don't feel like that would have gone down very well, and I feel like I would have got a complaint through to the office. But maybe there could have been a better way of, don't know, making sure that we weren't going to walk through the same door at the same time. But yeah, like I say, it's been an interesting week. It was quite an easy site. One of the things that did stick out to me is that my previous site is around where I live, so I kind of know the area. I know the kind of people that are around, etc. And although criminals, wherever they go, are pretty similar, I saw my previous site as a non-stab vest kind of site. Now, whenever I go to a site, definitely the first couple of shifts, I will wear my stab vest, just until I get a feel for the kind of people that are hanging around, maybe just get a look at what is the likelihood of someone breaking on and wanting to cause me kind of injury, etc. And I kind of worked out that my last site was a non-stab vest kind of site. Now, there will be people that are watching this video that say, well, you don't need a stab vest for any site. There will be people watching this video that are like, wherever I go, I always wear a stab vest. Now, my last site, like I say, I kind of, after a few shifts, I kind of realised that actually, you know what, I probably don't need to wear a stab vest. It's the middle of summer. The stab vest makes me very hot, so if I don't need to wear it, or if I don't feel like I need to wear it, then I probably won't. Whereas this site that I've just been on in the last week, I know the area. I know it has a problem with violent crime, knife crime, I think even like firearm crime in certain areas. And knowing that, I wore my vest all week. And the site that I'm going to next week, I know that area to be a place of violent crime, knife crime, even firearm crime. So the next site that I go on to, even if it's hot, I will be wearing my vest. So Porsche K9, I totally agree on the vest. Yeah, like I say, look, the site I was on before is somewhere where I live, and I know the kind of people that are around. And like I say, criminals don't change depending on what site they go to, but there are sites that are more higher risk than others. And knowing the area, in the past week, I wore my stab vest all the time last week or this week, and I will be wearing it on my new site because I know violent crime, knife crime, and firearm crime is a possibility in and around that area. So I think I think a stab vest is always worth having. Like I say, you may not wear it on every single job, but you'll definitely be put into areas where knife crime, violent crime is a high possibility. And you may think, you know what, I am actually going to wear my vest just in case. Because even with the stab vest, even if they've not got a knife or a firearm, etc., if you end up getting attacked and someone decides to rain punches, kicks on you, if you're wearing a stab vest, it gives you more of a chance of protecting your organs, your ribs, different things like that. So it's not necessarily always going to be to stop a knife or to hopefully help stop a bullet. But if you are attacked, it may help you in terms of they won't be able to punch your vital organs or your big organs, and therefore you can kind of protect your face or something like that without having to worry about protecting, like say, your ribs or like your major organs, etc. So I am someone that will wear a vest if I feel like I need to. Definitely for the first couple of shifts wherever I go, until I get a feel for the job or a feel for the area or a feel for the common people that are around, then I will definitely wear it. But then after that, like I say, sometimes I'm like, well, actually, you know what, I probably don't need it on this site. But then there'll be sites, even in nice areas, there'll be sites where you think, you know what, actually, there's a good chance that I'm probably going to need a stab vest for this site. So, like I say, for the sake of, if you go on to eBay or anything like that, if you can buy like a second-hand police issue stab vest, you can pick them up for like 60 quid. And I feel that 60 quid is worth paying out when, like I say, it could stop you from being in a hospital either being battered, bruised, stabbed. Some of them do come with some form of ballistic prevention, but a bullet's a bullet. You obviously need to be quite lucky, but it gives you've given yourself the biggest opportunity to walk away from that with the least amount of injury as possible. What is this? There's this thing that's doing my head in. Right, I'm going to do this. Oh, that's me. Why? Oh, there's this love heart. So like the bottom comment doesn't. I can't read all of it. Chip King, have a stab vest on or half a day at the Undertakers. Yeah, I definitely feel like there's some sites where you may wear it, you may not wear it until it gets dark. So it may be a case of like, let's say you're working 6 till 6 at the moment, and it doesn't get dark until maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock. You may think, well, I probably don't need to wear my stab vest whilst it's daylight, but come 9:30, when it starts getting dark, that's when I'm going to put my stab vest on. And like I say, even if you've just got it in the van and you can just grab it, you don't necessarily have to wear it all the time. Or you can say, right, I'm not going to wear it. And then you see some people start gathering around your site and you think, I'm not too comfortable with this. Now I'm going to put the stab vest on because then I'll be ready. So yeah, just a lot of people do it different ways. Like I say, I normally decide, I decide after a couple of shifts, like, what is the likelihood that I'm going to need this? Yes, I'm going to need it, or no, I'm not going to need it, or I probably don't need this whilst it's light, or whilst, for argument's sake, my site this week where we had the dual entry, whilst that's open and there's more people around, I'm less likely to have someone come and attack me because I've got people in close proximity, ideal being a boxing gym, but I've got people in close proximity that can come and help me if required. So I'll probably maybe not need my stab vest on until all of them go. And then once they go and it's just me and the dog, okay, I feel like, because I know the knife crime and the firearm crime and the violent crime that happens around here, that's when I feel like I need to wear a stab vest. Porsche Canine, I got the Cool Max covert vest, only cost 280 quid, ballistic, stab and spike. Dermot Leeson, hi bud, how's the dog? Oh, this thing is doing my head in. Is that back on form? Hi bud, how's the dog? Back on form. So the dog's Cooper's fine, and Ollie is through his is almost through his antibiotics. We've actually got him like a little flea collar as well, just to help, because like I say, I don't know where these fleas have come from, but he's had a couple of fleas which we think has caused that bit of irritation. So he's got a flea collar on now, which is one of these flea collars. I mean, how good it is, I have no idea. I think it costs 12 quid for two of them, and it's basically like a little flea collar. And you put it on him and you can leave it on him for like 6 months. And apparently it's meant to help keep away sort of fleas and bugs and different things like that. And so far, I don't know whether it's the antibiotics or I don't know whether it's the flea tablet that we got from the vets or it's the flea collar, but he seems to be itching less and different things like that. So until we've probably got through this month and the flea pill has sort of run out, I don't think we'll know. But yeah, dogs are fine. They all seem to be pretty good. Cooper's just his normal. He seems absolutely fine. That's great, Michael, for the update. But yeah, like I say, if anyone's got any questions they want answering, I think it can be an interesting topic. And like I say, I think we've covered over the 37 episodes, I think we've covered more or less a lot of stuff, but I always feel like this is always a great opportunity for someone to ask a question, even if I've answered it before, because someone may not go and watch episode 19 where we answered the question that you're thinking about now. So if this this heart thing doesn't go away, I'm going to have to smash the laptop up, I think. But yeah, hopefully you guys are having a good week. Has anyone had anything going on? I actually, tell a lie, I actually heard about an incident which I feel is worth talking about, because I think a lot of people get into security dog handling and they believe that they're Billy Big Balls, or they believe that they will be able to take on anyone or anything or any situation, and no matter what happens, them and the dog will be able to sort it out, etc. And it's not the case with security dog handling. You're pretty restricted in what seems to be becoming kind of a lawless country where people can do whatever they want. You saw a lot of you may have seen like the Oxford Street the other day. Like my sister works on Oxford Street, and in the morning they were told to go through their riot training. The police were on standby because they knew that Oxford Street was going to be gathered on by all of these youths. They was going to try looting shops, etc. And not say, my sister works on Oxford Street, and she was told, go through your riot training, make sure every member of staff understands what your riot training is today, because there's a good chance you're going to need to use it. And as you saw with them, like the kids didn't care that they was on camera. They videoed it. Like, a few of them got arrested, but they knew that not all of them were going to get arrested, etc. And in what is fast becoming more or less a lawless country, where kids are just getting slaps on wrists for doing really harrowing stuff, there's been proof of it over, I'd say, the last sort of 3 or 4 months from certain people online and on social media, etc. They seem to be able to do what they want. They may get a slap on the wrist, they may get a fine which is quite incidental, a fine that they could probably make by doing a TikTok live or whatever it is. And up in I don't want to say where it is, up in the Nottinghamshire area-ish, there was, I got told about an incident that happened up there. So there was an eviction up there, and they managed to go through with the eviction. So they managed to sort the eviction out and get rid of the person that they was meant to. Apparently with a lot of violence, a lot of fighting, but they managed to get through with the eviction. And a security dog handler was put on that site. Well, within a day or two, 20 people turned up to site, broke into site, and turned around to the dog handler and said, "We suggest you leave." Thankfully, the dog handler said, "Yep, I'll see you later, I'm off," and just went. Because not only was the eviction very violent, when 20 people turn up, break into your site and tell you better leave, I would leave. I would just turn around and say, you know what, I'm off. And apparently they called the police, and the police turned around and said, sorry, we've got no one in your area. And that pretty much sums up security dog handling when it comes to that level, where you just have to look after yourself and make sure you look after yourself and do what's best for you. It is an interesting thing to get out there, that if 20 people turn up and they tell you better leave, it's not even worth your time. It's not worth your pay grade. It's not worth anything that's on site. It's not worth taking the hammer in for. Best thing to do is go, yep, all right, see you later. You guys do you, I'll do me. And just get in the van and get out, go around the corner, whatever it is, phone the police and say, look, this has happened. Just letting you know, I'm not going back in there, so you better get someone round. And like I say, thankfully for that handler, they made the right decision. I think that there are certain people, I mean, it may not even have to be 20, it may only be 8 or 10 people turn up, where they'll say, I reckon that me and the dog with crowd control, I think I can contain these people. Well, if it's you against 8 to 10 people, even if your dog is really good at crowd control, you and that dog are probably going to take a beating, especially if they're very violent. So you have to remember to look after yourself first before you start looking after stuff that's inside the site. Remember that stuff inside the site is insured from you being there, etc. Now, I'm not saying that if one person or two people walk on that you automatically just leave site, but if you believe that you are in that kind of danger where 20 people turn up and tell you to leave, it's probably a good idea that you just pack up your stuff and say, right, yeah, I'll see you later. Even if you leave some minimal stuff in there that doesn't cost anything, even if you do that, just get yourself out of there. There's possibly a chance that you can go back and get stuff later, etc. So just remember that in this job, although you want to do the best job that you can and protect premises the best you can, you and the dog have boundaries in which you have to work with, but also you and the dog have kind of the maximums that you'll be able to do. And understanding what their maximums are, I think, is very important. And like I say, so you and the dog taking an absolute hammering for looking up for probably saving, I don't know, whatever it is. I mean, with this, it was an eviction, so obviously they just wanted to get moved back in. So sometimes it's not even worth your time taking the hammering when the police and all that can just go through the procedure of getting them back out again. But yeah, I thought that was something interesting, worth talking about. But yeah, when he said it to me, I did think to myself, well, the guy made the best judgment call to just turn around and get himself out of there and just get away from that situation, because, like I say, you don't want to take a hammer in when the police and all that can deal with that at a later date. What we got? Chip King. If you go Poundland and buy the cheap flea collar, cut it into a couple of small bits and stick it in your Hoover bag. When you Hoover, it will kill any that you suck up. Yeah, I think the missus is going to get. I think the missus is going to get one of these like room bomb things, where you kind of obviously take you and the dogs out, where you and the dogs go out for the day, and you just set off like this bomb thing that just fills the room with chemicals, etc. And basically, what you go out for 5 hours or whatever it is. You go out for like 5 hours, and then you come home and you air the room out for 3 hours, and then it's safe for obviously everything to carry on. I think the missus has got some of them, so we're going to try and see if that does the job. Hi, Michael. Do stab-proof jackets have a shelf life? Yes, they will have some form of shelf life. Does it swallow a fly? Or yes, they will have some form of shelf life. What them forms of shelf life is, I'm not 100% sure. What you probably need to do, I think I've spoken to UK Security 101 about this before, is that if you look after it, so you take out the plate. So with my stab vest, you've obviously got the cover, but then it's got zips where you can take the actual stab proofing packs out. So if you take them out and you give them a wipe every now and then, make sure you try and keep it as clean as you can. Try and keep it obviously as dry as you can. I don't leave my stab vest in the van when it's really hot. I don't leave my stab vest in the van when it's really cold, because obviously that can maybe mess around with some of the I don't know. So you can mess around with the materials that obviously it is, and then, like I say, just check them every now and then. Make sure that they're still solid. Make sure that they've not cracked or anything like that. So yes, they do have. They will have shelf lives, the same as everything. But again, it probably depends on how well you look after it to how long it lasts. So I've had mine for probably a couple of years, and mine's still going strong. And again, mine was just a second-hand one that I got off Patrol Store, I think, at the time. I don't think they've got any at the moment, but I think I got mine off Patrol Store, and it was an ex-issued police stab-proof vest. So it obviously was with the police for a certain amount of time until either they had to change it by their standard, or maybe that officer left the force and then they sell them to somewhere like Patrol Store. who can then sell it on to us. And like I say, I think my one was only about 60, 70 quid. So even if you do get one and you have to replace it, I don't know, every 5 years, I would say that £60 for 5 years, just over a tenner a year, or 12 quid a year, I feel like that's worth it just to have it. So I wouldn't go, well, I'm not buying a stab-proof vest because I'm going to have to spend another 70 quid in 5 years. But yeah, they will, depending on it. Obviously, if you want to try and get warranties and different things like that, then by all means go down buying a brand new one, but they are quite expensive. They're a lot more expensive to buy a brand new when you can get a decent second-hand one from that's like ex-police issue. The thing with ex-police issue is that the ex-police issue ones, they're not going to come where the blocks have been perforated. They've not got rid of the vest because someone's been stabbed in it. It's just a case that they've gone through their life cycle with the police, and they've sold them on in order to maybe make funds for the police, etc. So I'm not sure if I swallowed a fly. There was a fly that's in here, and it's not in here now, and I definitely felt something in my throat. So has anyone else got any questions? I know that there was someone in my Discord. I will put a link. I'll put a link in it now, so I always forget to do it. There was someone in my Discord talking about they were still doing their SIA and whether there was anything that they could get to help them with their SIA, like revision, etc. There's a couple of books that you can buy on Amazon that's like the SIA course books. There's a security guard one and there's a door supervisor one. So obviously get the one that is appropriate for whatever license you're going for. And when I done my security guard license, they literally read the book from back to front, cover to cover. And although mine was on Zoom, it was a little bit different. Mine was on Zoom. What that meant is that I could actually concentrate whilst they was talking through the page. I could concentrate on the trainer talking to me rather than having to make notes. And I think like the door supervisor one is about £12-13. And like I say, I think it's worth. Oh, that's the flies in here. No, I haven't swallowed the fly. I feel like for like £12-13, I feel like it is worth having because, like I say, when you go and do your SIA course, you can concentrate on what the tutor is telling you rather than writing notes. Because if you're like me and you're there writing notes, you're not listening to whatever anyone's saying. So I feel like it is beneficial for people maybe to do that. Like I say, they literally on my security guard license, they went cover to cover and read every single page that was in it. So it kind of gave me, obviously I'd looked through the book before the course, so I was already a little bit ahead of everyone else because I kind of knew what was coming, or when one day ended, I could read like the next 5 pages so that when we started up the next day, I'd already read them 5 pages the day before. So I was kind of always ahead of the game. So it's something that maybe you can do. You can go on Amazon. What I'll do afterwards as well is I'll put them 2 links down in the bio to this video. And like I say, I'm not 100% sure on the door supervisor course, but like I say, the security guard one, they went cover to cover. I would imagine that the door supervisor book would be the same, so that they make sure everyone that goes through that course gets exactly the same information and no one misses out on any information. So I'll put them down in there. And like I say, if you're going to go and do your SIA, then you can get them books. And at least, even if not, at least you've got a book that you can refer back to. And like now, I've got my one that's in the van. So if ever I want to do, I don't know, an SIA random roulette kind of thing, I can just get it out and I can just talk through that page. So yeah, if anyone's interested, I'll put them videos down in the comment section, not the comment section, the bio of this video, so that you can have a look. Have I decided what I'm going to do with the cocker yet? Yes and no. So with the cocker, I am going to go down the drugs route with him. A lot depends obviously on the dog and funds and different things like that. I think what people don't maybe appreciate with me compared to maybe a lot of other handlers, and whether that's to the detriment of the dogs or whatever it is that security dog handling doesn't consume my life. So I will go to do work, and I will do the work to the best of my ability, and I will make sure I keep on top of training. But once I finish work, I'm not doing extra. I'm not spending a lot of others. I'm not spending my weekends going and doing dog sort of stuff. That I kind of keep that to me and the missus, or we do stuff as a family. Or obviously it involves the dogs. I don't just leave the dogs at home and leave them there all day. Like, we'll go out with the dogs, or I'll take them to my mum and dad's, and I kind of chill out, and I keep on top of training. I do the job as best I can. But what I also don't do, I mean, at the moment it's a little bit awkward because I'm saving for a wedding, so I'm having to save a lot of money for the wedding. So I can't afford to go and put Ollie through assessments. I can't afford to take Ollie to a training and different things like that. So I am looking to go down. I will be going down the sort of the drugs route with Ollie, but I can't afford to at the moment. I don't really have enough time to in. I do have enough time. That's a bit of a cop out. I do have enough time to go training with Ollie, but I don't have the funds to do that. He's still only 8-9 months, which some people may say is a perfect time to start training. What I'm doing at the moment is making him a decent all-round dog. I've done some sort of sniffing stuff with him, obviously not with drugs or anything like that, but I've started doing sort of stuff with his nose, so teaching him to find stuff, different things like that. But yeah, I don't have the funds in order to really do it now. But it doesn't mean that once the wedding is over and I have a little bit more free money, or I haven't got to have a certain amount of money in 6 months' time, that it will relieve me to be able to spend a bit more and do some more with Ollie. So it is there. It is there. What I'm doing at the moment is just making him a good all-round dog, the same way as I kind of did with Cooper. Is I'm making him a decent all-round dog, and then whilst doing little bits of training, but then once we go into it, then hopefully he will be mature enough, because at the moment he's a little bit like what a typical kind of Cocker Spaniel puppy is. That he's running around, he's sniffing, oh, a bird, and then stands there and looks at a bird for 2-3 minutes. So he's kind of free to do what he wants at the moment. Just trying to make him a good all-round dog, trying to get obedience down, recall down, trying to get some different commands in. But yeah, eventually we will go into it, but I'm not in any massive rush. It's not a case that if I don't train Ollie up, then I can't be a security dog handler. I think that's the difference between sort of Ollie and Coop, or Ollie and people that are getting into the industry. Like people with the GP side, when they're getting into the industry, without the dog, they don't have a job, for example. So they have to put everything into this dog, has to get into this job so that I can start working. Where, as obviously I earn my wage through working with Coop, if Ollie isn't working, it's not costing me any money, etc. I'm still working that side. So I'm not in any massive rush. I'm not going to rush him into or put any pressure on this has to happen, because at the end of the day, it doesn't have to happen. It'd be nice if it does, but if it turns out that he hasn't got what it takes, it's not the end of the world. He'll still make a nice pet dog. But yeah, hopefully I will go down sort of the drugs route. I feel like I went around about 6 hours giving you the answer to that, but I'm trying to be as honest as I can. But at the moment, I just don't have the funds to do it. I did say I haven't got the time. I do have the time, but also with security dog handling, it doesn't consume 7 days a week. When I'm not working, I like to do stuff with the dogs, but I wouldn't go and do dog training on a Saturday or a Sunday because that's my time off. But what I will do is I will do a 12-hour shift and then go straight to dog training and do it that morning and then come home and then chill out. So yeah. Hopefully that answered. I probably didn't, but hopefully that answered and maybe cleared up some of the stuff with Vols. If you're sticking to GP, drugs is better as you can mix the both. Yeah, get a mix of both. Yeah, I think that's kind of the idea, because although I want to stick with obviously working Coop, I don't want Coop to have to stop. But what I'm kind of hoping is that I will be able to mix both, where Cooper won't have to work 5 nights a week. So maybe I can take Coop down to maybe 3 nights a week and then maybe work a couple of days with Ollie, because most of the time what I can earn with Ollie in 5 hours, 6 hours, I can earn with Coop on 15 hours. So it's much better paid the sort of Cocker Spaniel side. So if it's a case where I only have to maybe work 3 nights with Coop and do 2 days with Ollie, then that would obviously work better. A, as a family, most importantly, and B, probably better for sort of lifestyle kind of stuff and things like that. So yeah, definitely going down drug side. I did speak to someone about it, and they did say that although you can get done for Expo, a lot of that is kind of left for sort of police. And to be honest with you, I don't think I've got what it takes to go down the explosion route. Pure the fact that I don't want, if something did happen, touch wood, it never would, but if something did happen or the dog missed something, I don't think I could live knowing that I had missed it. Where if you miss a bit of drugs and someone gets a bit high, that's not the end of the world. If you miss something and something blows up, that's a lot harder to take. So I don't feel like I've got what it takes to go down the Expo route. So yeah, it definitely would be drugs. Environmentally and ball drive, loads of hunting. Yeah, I think Ollie's naturally. I mean, everyone says this. Everyone says this about their kids. Oh, is he a good footballer? Oh, he's just a naturally good footballer. But I feel like Ollie has picked up searching with his nose and doing all that sort of stuff pretty quickly and quite naturally. Now his mum and dad are gun dogs, so he's kind of in his line as like the working side, doing sort of gun dog stuff. So somewhere in there is what we need. It's just a case of maybe bringing it out. So yeah, like I say, ball drive's been difficult. Now, if it's just me and Ollie, I can get him excited about playing with a ball, etc. Problem is that Cooper's ball drive is off the scale. Like if you've got a ball, or if I've got a ball, I could get that dog to do more or less anything, and he's like up here with excitement. Downside to that is, if there's a ball, if Ollie takes the ball, Cooper takes it off Ollie. Ollie gets another ball, Cooper take that ball off Ollie. So Ollie does have ball drive. What normally happens when we go out, or we go to my mum and dad's, is that I play ball with Coop. Ollie runs around with a golf ball because that's a ball that's normally laying around. Ollie gets his golf ball and he runs around, and I play ball with Coop. As long as I'm playing with Coop, he's normally all right. The moment I throw a ball for Ollie, Coop will go and get that ball. So ball drive has been a little bit challenging. What I have got is I've got a small little bite bar. It's about that big. And Ollie absolutely loves that. So I've been using that more. I can't use that with Coop because it's too small. He keeps catching my fingers. So I've literally got that just for Ollie. It's only about that big. And I throw it and he runs after it. And when he gets it, he starts running around. We play a little bit of tug, different things like that. So ball drive has not been easy, but this little bite bar seems to be really working. And hopefully I can use that as his reward. And like I say, he's much more excited. He much more enjoys playing bits of tug and running after that than he actually does playing with a ball. With a ball, I can get him excited and he'll run around and he'll have the ball. But then maybe after a couple of 5 minutes, he's like, oh, I'm bored of that now, and he'll go off to start doing something else. With the bite bar, I can literally, anytime I throw that, he's always excited for it. So it has been interesting. But like I say, because Cooper's ball drive is so high, it's lowered Ollie's ball drive, although he still likes running around with golf balls, etc. So yeah, definitely environmentally, he's pretty sound. He walks around here, which is quite a residential with cars and different lorries, people, all that, and he's confident and he's sound. In terms of on site, he seems to be pretty confident about walking around, especially darkness. We can walk around in the dark, pitch black, and his head's in a bush, his head's over here, his head's over there, etc. He's started to pick up a little bit of cage detection. So I think I had Ollie, what night Wednesday night? Tuesday night I had Ollie in the van with me and Coop. Again, I don't mind taking Ollie to work, but I said to the missus, look, let me go and do a couple of shifts on this site and just test it out, because when I go and patrol, I do have to go away quite a way away from the van and I can't see the van. So let me just get a feel for this site first, because what I don't want to do is get Coop out of the van, walk off quite far away where I can't see the van, and whilst I'm away, someone smashes into the van and Ollie's in there and either traumatized or they end up nicking Ollie. So I said to Anna, look, let me go and do a couple of shifts and try and work out what this site is. If I feel like it's all right, I'll take Ollie Tuesday night. So anyway, I'm sitting in the van Tuesday night, and normally what I do is I close Ollie's side, leave Cooper's side open. So if anything, I know that if Coop goes off, I know that there's a reason for it. Like I say, 60 people walk past, 56 people we ignore, but the 4 people that are a little bit doing something a little bit out of the ordinary, Coop will let me know. So anyway, I normally shut Ollie's. And anyway, I'm sitting in the van, and all of a sudden I've heard Ollie go. I was like, what's he doing? And then he said, "Wow, wow, 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 wow," and there was a cat. So Ollie's picking up on cage detection. He's obviously not very scary at all. It's not very scary at all, but he's picking up from stuff from Coop. And again, I think because Coop is good with his nose and things like that, Ollie has picked up from Coop about games, about sniffing, about all that sort of stuff. But even tug, like when I get the little tug bar out for Ollie and we play a bit of tug, he's backing up, he's wiggling, he's shaking his head, and these are all stuff that he's picked up off of Coop. So, I mean, if Ollie had been a German Shepherd, like, Cooper would have been a pretty good teacher in terms of playing the tug game, because the reason that Ollie knows to back up and shake his head is because when him and Cooper play tug, Coop pulls back and backs up and pulls Ollie towards him. And then when Ollie's holding on, Coop's just starts shaking his head, and in the end, Ollie lets go because Cooper's shaking the toy around and Ollie can't keep hold of it. So Cooper's teaching Ollie all this sort of stuff. And like I say, Coop's really good with his nose and doing things like that. So it's been quite easy to just have Ollie watching Coop do some stuff and then doing similar stuff as Coop, or getting treats and hiding them and then sending both dogs, and it being a bit of a competition, and Ollie learning, watching Coop and seeing what he's doing. He's like, okay, I need to do that, but I need to do it quicker. So it's been interesting. But yeah, like I say, I think once I have the funds in order to start doing training with Ollie, I will. I'm not going to bankrupt myself in order to get into it, because I just feel like there's no need, and there's also no need for me to rush. Like I say, he's only 9 months, 8 months, whatever it is. There's no real rush to make sure I get him qualified by the time he's 1 or 2 or whatever it is. As long as we give it a go at some point, I'll be quite happy. All right, we are at 54 minutes and 50 seconds. I'll give you a couple of minutes just if you've got any other questions, and then we'll wrap it up. Yeah, this video was just to talk about maybe like my week, etc. Talk about a couple of things that have happened, like that. The dog handler that had the 20 people turn up, I feel like that was worth talking about. We've spoken about stab vests. I feel like that's an important conversation. And like I say, people, you don't have to wear a stab vest all the time. You can kind of decide, but as long as you've got something there, I feel like it's beneficial. And like I say, you can pick second-hand police issue ones up for like 60 quid, 60 to 100 quid. And like I say, even if you had to replace that every 5 years, I feel like it's worth it. So yeah, right. I hope you have a good rest of your week. Have a good weekend, and I'll try and do another live at some point. Thank you for everyone that's come in and had a chat about it. And yeah, thanks for all watching. Hope you liked the video. Down in the description of this is my Patreon. If you want to help support what I do, I really appreciate it. It will help me to do some other stuff, and do some more interesting stuff as well. And down there as well is my Discord. Anyone wants to come to Discord, it's a little bit like the live where it's kind of like a 24-hour sort of chat room. There's dog handlers in there. There's aspiring dog handlers in there. So you can come in, and if you've got a question or you just want to have a chat, it's all in there. So Discord and obviously the Patreon as well. I'll also put links down there for the two books, the two SIA course books, the Door Supervisor and the Security Guard. So if you are doing your course and you maybe want to get a bit ahead of the game, you can get them books. They're off Amazon. And yeah, so thanks for everyone for being in this. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very soon, hopefully. Just watching. See you later. Bye.